going to do my biannual series audit, series check-in, and figure out, did I actually read what I said I was going to read? Where are we in my mission to get my series reading under control? I don't think this will be a surprise if you've been following this part of the channel, but I'm doing a great job. Very proud of myself. Yeah, I'm just making a lot of progress, trying to meet my goals. I think I talked about this in my 2024 goals, but part of what I'm hoping to do this year is to, now that I'm very close to being where I was hoping to be in terms of the series I had already started, I'm trying to introduce more series to start. So a little bit different TBR that I'm gonna set for the next 6 months than what I have been doing, but yeah. So I thought you're gonna see me looking off to the side a lot because I've got my computer pulled up here so that I can tell you guys what I read. But I will say, so maybe what I'll do is I'll cut over, sorry, future editing Mara. I'm gonna cut over to editing Mara telling you a little bit more about stats and kind of like where we are by the numbers. And then we'll cut back here and we can talk about the actual things that I read and what my TBR is for the next 6 months. Okay, well, future editing Mara coming at you. Past Mara, I know you have been struggling with the spoon, so I'll let you have this one. Okay, so as an overview, you can see here sort of a snapshot of the progress I've made in the 18 months since I started tracking this more closely. The biggest win, hence my little party horn, is that I went from being behind on 39 series to being behind in 13, which is a huge, just like mentally, that feels great. There's a lot more room, a lot more freshness in the series that I have going. As you can see, I've gone from being caught up on 27 to being either caught up or complete on 72. So that's 45 series that I've either completely finished with or I'm up to date, and if and when there's a new book that comes out, I can just go ahead and read it because I'm up to date. So that has given me an overall feeling of foot looseness and fancy freeness. That is a beautiful thing. I've also started series since then. You can see here that I've gone from 52 that I own that I want to start to only 42. I've also started some series that were not on my physical TBR or even my eTBR at the time that I took this snapshot back in August of 2022. For example, the Brother Cadfael series is an book series that I'm going to get through Kindle Unlimited, so that wouldn't be on my TBR and wouldn't have been reflected in that 52 number, but it is one I've started. I've also started series that weren't on my radar at all at that point since then. So yeah, this is what I knew at the time, series I owned at the time. I'm still down 10 in terms of the number of them that I still need to start, and I've got plans on getting that number down even further. I've also gone from 19 series that I had no plans to finish to only 4. One of those at least is my Break in Case of Emergency Alona Andrews series, which is The Edge, which I am putting off reading as long as possible. So, yeah, but anyway, it feels good that most of the things that I still have in flight, I do have a plan to finish. And then overall, if I wanted to finish every series that I have in flight or that I own, and I'm going to read the whole thing, like I end up liking it and wanted to read the whole thing, I'm down 39 books there. So as of February 2024, I would need to read 372 books to finish every single one of those series, which is about a year and a half-ish worth of books. And that feels much more manageable when I think about it that way. And also there's spoilers. I have read in some of those series I want to start since then and have DNF'd at least 1 or 2 of them. So also that number goes down the more and more I start these new series and find out if I actually want to read them. So that's kind of just an overview. A few sort of over time graphs for your enjoyment. One is this change in status for these series.
The thing I wanted to highlight here is how many series I have incompleted or DNF'd. That has been going up very consistently. So has the caught up, not as dramatically, but yeah, I've been making progress there too. And pretty much every other category has gone down, which makes sense when you think about if a series is completed, it is no longer going to be behind. So that checks out. So that's that change over time. I also wanted to talk about some of the changes in kind of like averages over time. So in terms of series length, I think it's interesting to see that as time goes on, the series length for series that I have in flight is going up. And that is because I did a lot of work in the last year to just go ahead and knock out a lot of the duologies and trilogies that I had left. So what that does mean, though, is that I still have a bunch of longer series I need to either catch up with or finish. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting change. Though, if you look at average number of books left, that has gone down. So I'm not totally sure how that works. I think I have a couple of outliers, like that Brother Cadfael series is super long. The Ursa Dax series has got a lot in it. So there are a few longer ones that are kind of throwing that average off, I think. And then average series length in my to start has stayed pretty consistently around 6-ish books, though it is slowly creeping up over time. And then if you look at the average rating, it's hard to see in this graph, but I did just want to mention that when I started this, I was at, I think, like 4.15, and I've been consistently hovering around 3.85 for the last few 6-month check-ins. So it is interesting to me that as I read more, my rating is going down. But I guess that makes sense because I didn't need to finish some of the series that I felt really strongly about. I needed that push for ones that I felt less strongly about. That's my theory, at least. And then finally, some stats about remaining books changes over time. So you can see, like I was saying, the unstarted books has gone down quite a bit. It's gone from a little over 300 to a little under 300. And then, like we were saying, the books left to read has fluctuated somewhat as I've had some of the longer series coming in. So there was a spike in that in February. But total series in flight and total series to start have both been consistently going down over time, which we'd love to see. And then finally, number of books that I read in each period. So consistently, like I think in that first check-in I did last February, I was very motivated and I had a pretty aggressive list of things I was trying to do. So I almost hit 50 books, but I think comfortably between 40 to 45 is about reasonable of what I get through every 6 months in these different series. So that is an overview of the stats for my fellow lover of the numbers. And with that, I will throw you back to the analysis of what I read in the last 6 months and then also the TBR for what I want to read next.
Okay. Thank you, future editing Mara. Now, in this period, I made progress, finished, DNF'd, whatever, 27 series. So, let me just put up here what that list is so that if you want to look and see everything I made progress in. But let me talk about some of the highlights. I think one thing I focused on for the last 6 months was just knocking out a lot of the series where I only had 1 or 2 books left to read. So, like Warcross by Marie Liu, The Fixer by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Greenbone Saga. Yeah, there's a bunch of them that I only, I'd read 1 book of either a trilogy or a duology. So I was like, let's just go ahead and finish that off so that we can call it done. I also caught up to a few things that have been kind of lingering. So one that really comes to mind for me there is the Katie Wilde series, which I really love, called The Deadlands. It is a fantasy romance series, and I was behind, I think, 3 books in that one, so I'm fully caught up, and that felt good. I stayed caught up with a lot of series, so Percy Jackson, gosh, what else? Kate Daniels, Ice Planet / Ice Home, Murderbot, Wayward Children series. There was a lot of them that had like a new entry, Monstrous. A lot of books, or a lot of series that had a new entry, and I was already caught up with them, and I did the work to stay caught up with that. I DNF'd a couple of series, so I DNF'd the Johannes Cabal in Year 1 series from Nora Roberts. Sorry, the Johannes Cabal series by Jonathan L. Howard, the Year 1 series by Nora Roberts. Both of those I had 2 books left, and I functionally DNF'd both of those, so it felt good to at least like make a decision about that. And then a few new series that have I also finished the Barsetshire Chronicles, which was a big task and something I really wanted to do in 2023, so I'm really proud of myself that I made that happen. I have finished that one, and those were all really chunky classic books. Now, Anthony Trollope's writing is very readable. It's not like they're hard to get through. They're just long and very character-driven, so they're not like fast reads. So I was happy that I followed through on my intention, which was to finish that. In terms of favorite series that I caught up with, like either started or made progress on and like caught up with, definitely The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. You guys know, if you watch this channel, oh my gosh, that was something that happened in like November, December of 2023, and that was just a complete joyful reading experience, and he's not giving us another one this year, which is really tragic, but I will be ready and waiting with open arms whenever that happens. And he is starting a new series this year, so I will be adding a series to the list. I would say another one I started that I'd been meaning to start and I also love is The World of the White Rat by T. Kingfisher. I read 3 books in there. I read both of the Clockwork Boys books and Sword Heart. I gave all of those 4.5, or I gave Clockwork Boys 4.5, Wonder Engine 4, Sword Heart 4.5. So excited. And there's 4 more Paladin books that are out for me to read. And then one of you guys let me know that there's actually going to be 2 follow-ups to Sword Heart. Cannot wait for that, because there's some loose ends there that I would like to see resolved. So yeah, that was very joyful. And then if I was, the other one, I guess I'll say Percy Jackson, because that newest book that came out in September was just wonderful and just so cozy and so heartwarming and just exactly what I love for Percy Jackson. So that was great. And we're going to get 2 more of those. So yeah, I'd say those were the highlights. Other series I added were Veronica Speedwell. I'm reading that one now. I've only read one. I added, let's see here, what else did I add? The Fated Mates of the Seasand Warlords by Ursa Dax. I got really into that in the fall. I need to go back. Those are good palate cleansing reads. And there was a day where like almost all of them were free, so I have a bunch of them to read. So that's nice. And the rest are in Kindle Unlimited. Oh, I forgot that I read the In Boonesboro series during this. Yeah, that's my other one. I would say a series that I started and finished since we last talked was In Boonesboro by Nora Roberts. That was just so delightful because I also read those while I was actually at the Inn Boonesboro, and that was just a really fun reading experience. So, I think I read pretty much everything that I had planned to read in terms of the TBR I had set for myself, so that felt really good. The only 2 I didn't do was I wanted to read 2 books in the Karen Rose romantic suspense series, which I did not do, so I'm going to roll those forward into my next TBR. So I'm going to try to read both of those and an extra one. As punishment? That sounds weird. This is for fun. But I really want to make some progress because I have like 8 of them I want to read. So it's one of the longer series I've got going on right now. So I really need to make some progress there. Okay. So in terms of the things that I'm already in progress on, that these are series that are in flight that I want to read in the next 6 months. I only have, let's see here, 9. I think I've got like 11 right now on my planned TBR. 13. Okay, I've got 13 on my TBR for the next 6 months of series that I've already started. But actually, now that I'm looking at this, I guess I'll trust Passmara's decision making here. I'm looking at this like, I don't know. But anyway, I think this is probably, it's a conservative approach, and we'll talk about why here in a second. Okay, so the things I want to stay caught up on are Side Changeling and Singing Hill Cycle. I've already got my Side Changeling book. I think I'm supposed to be getting the Singing Hill Cycle here soon. So those I think will both not be a problem. Like I mentioned, I want to read 3 Karen Rose books, which are all romantic suspenses. So those are pretty lighthearted. And then I want to finish 2 Paranora series that I've already started in the past. Now I will say, I set kind of a low bar here because I'm fairly confident, because I would not be surprised if both of these series ended up getting DNF'd, particularly the Dragonheart Legacy by Nora Roberts, because I read and did not enjoy the first one, but it is Nora. She definitely has the possibility of changing my mind because I love her. Oh, I don't know if you can hear the kitties crying. So that is one that I would like to read. The other one is the Circle trilogy by Nora Roberts. The first one is Morrigan's Cross, which I read early on in my Nora Roberts reading experience and did not love, but I'm going to go back and read some spoilers about that to refresh myself on it, and then pick it back up and see if I can get through it, because this is one of her most loved Paranora series. So I'm hoping that this might be one that I can get on with a little bit better. So yeah, there's that. And then I have some series that I've started in the last year that I want to make progress on in the next 6 months, so read at least 1 book. So that includes the Detective Kendachi novels by Seishi Yokomizo. That is a series that the first one is the Hanjin Murders, and I really liked that. And I have all of the other ones that have been translated into English by Pushkin Press, and I'd like to read at least 1. I actually would love to do like a vlog where I binge read all of those. I think that could be fun, but I'm only going to commit to 1. Actually, sorry, in between, behind the cameras here, I actually redid this TBR. So I now have 17 books on the TBR, because I want to do this with all of the ones where I started them recently. Like, I want to make sure I'm keeping some momentum going. So the Seishi Yokomizo series, I want to read at least 1. I want to read at least 1 Brother Codfell one by Ellis Peters. Those are on Kindle Unlimited, so that'll be an e-read for me. Veronica Speedwell, I started and would like to make some progress on. That's like, it's technically supposed to be historical romance mystery, but I'm going to be reading them just for the historical romance because I'm not a huge fan of the mystery side of things. But the banter is great, so I definitely want to keep going. I want to read another one in the World of the White Rat by T. Kingfisher, so that would be starting the Paladin series. I'd like to do that. I'd like to read at least 1 more in the Lady Hardcastle mystery series by T.E. Kenzie. I enjoyed In the Market for Murder. I wasn't obsessed, but now that I kind of get the vibe, I am going to take Meg from Meg with Books' recommendation and try to do these as audio, because I read the first one physically, and I wonder if I did the audio, if I would like it even better. So we're going to do that. So Maya Banks has a series of Scottish historical romances, and I have not read them in quite some time, but I loved them when I was reading them. So I want to read another one of those to see if that is still to my romance reading taste, because if it's not, then I'll just DNF the series. So that's not one I've started recently, but that is one. Maybe transitioning off of ones I've started recently. Ones that I need to either like fish or cut bait on. That's one of those. And then the other one that's in that category of fish or cut bait is the Sinclair Mysteries by Catherine Woodfine. I did read one of those in the last 6 months, and it was fine, but I think it's kind of like going to be a palate cleansy type series for me. So yeah, I just want to be purposeful about finishing the other 2 because I do have them physically, so that also goes with my whole reading what I own journey. And then last but not least, I do have series that I want to start. So that's the other big thing I'm trying to do this year. And I really want to focus on a few of these. And I talked about these at the beginning of the year, so I'll just run through them. Any of these, well, wait, let's look at this. I have a plan to start. I have a plan for 4 of these. So I'm hoping at least 4 of these I will read in the next 6 months. Let's make that our goal. So that brings our total TBR to 21. So those series I mentioned in my 2024 goals, but those are Prince of Fools by Mark Lawrence, Amber Lowe by Laura Elena Donnelly, The Girl in the Stars by Mark Lawrence, Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu, The Mary Russell series by, what's her name? Laurie King. Look at that. Cold Magic by Kate Elliott. I want to start the Macrae series by Georges Simenon, I believe is the author. And In the Bleak Midwinter, that series by Julia Spencer Fleming. So, 4 of those 8 series I would like to have started. Yeah. I think that that's a very achievable set. I think that this is a nice mix of a few chunkier things, but a lot of palette cleansing stuff, a lot of light reads. So I think that this is very, very doable. I am expecting that I will make even more progress than this based on how well I've been doing so far with this challenge, but I think it's good to keep our goals. I think I at least need to keep my goals achievable right now because my head is just not in a great space. Like I'm just very scattered when I'm not at work. So I think that this is good. So that is my series audit, my series TBR, my series check-in, all that stuff. So let me know what you thought about any of the series I talked about. Let me know if there's any series that you don't think I've read that you think I should. Always interested in recommendations. I get a lot of recommendations from you guys, so I welcome that. And yeah, I think that'll do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!